promised, today we're going to do a review on the Seiko SBBN031 Tuna. Before we get into the review, let's do a quick wrist check. I'm rocking my Casio G-Shock GST S110, a fantastic watch. I have done a review on it, so make sure to check it out. Going back to the Tuna, let's start off with our first talking point, which is 360 view and dimensions. It's going to be hard to see this without a crap ton of reflection because of the domed Hardlex crystal, but here it is. And then there's the K-Spec. You've got the Prospex crashing wave logo on the back, which is always such a cool thing to look at. And there's the clasp. Alright, and here are the dimensions. They're very similar, if not identical, to the baby Tuna. So for dimensions, I give it a score of 5 out of 5, and that's because even though it is a heavy and large watch, for what its intended purpose is, I think it's perfectly acceptable. So 5 out of 5 for dimensions. Next talking point is price. So you're looking at realistically spending in a range of $1,000 to $1,200, and that is very expensive. I think for what you're getting, you're paying probably $400 to $500 more just for the name and the reputation of Tuna. I could be wrong, so if you know something that I don't know, which is highly likely, let me know why it's priced the way it is on the comment section. But I think realistically, this should be more like $500 to $700. So for that reason, I'm giving it a score of 2 out of 5. Next talking point is functions and features. So right off the bat, you've got this fantastic 120 click unidirectional bezel. For a desk diver, it's fine. I think if you're an actual diver and you're wearing some kind of like heavy duty glove, then it might be an issue for you because the gripping surface is very minimal and you can only access it from 12 to 3 and 6 to 9. Again, it's not really a big deal. Just keep in mind that you might have that issue if you are trying to use it with gloves on. You've also got the day-date window right here, and then a fantastic loom. So the score I'm going to give for functions and features is a 3.5 out of 5. And the reason why is I'm going to take away half a point just because the bezel, it's just a little bit more difficult than other bezels to use, but still not a big deal. But I'm taking away a whole point because this doesn't come in a solar, with the solar charging functionality. Again, everybody has different preferences. For me personally, I just think watches that come out in the 21st century should all have either an automatic movement or solar charging. It's still a fantastic battery. It's got a lifespan of around 5 years. So not a big deal. Just for me, the perfect Seiko Tuna would be either an automatic or solar one. So 3.5 out of 5 for functions and features. Next talking point is illumination. So let's go ahead and show you the footage in a dark room. And as you can see, the loom is fantastic. Just like with every other Seiko, their Lumibright chemical mixture, or whatever you want to call it, is fantastic. It's super bright, and then it'll last you the night, and it'll be a very pleasant green glow in the morning. And really no complaints with illumination. 5 out of 5. Next talking point is visibility. So how easy is it to tell the time and read it? Fantastic. The indices are very clearly labeled, and the hour and minute hand is just superb. You've got very bold indications right there, and so it's easy to just quickly look at your watch and tell the time right away. My only gripe is the day-date window. It's got the black background, whereas the baby Tuna's got the white background, so it's much easier to see. For me, it's not a big deal, but I can imagine for some people with reduced eyesight, you might have some issue with it. So for that reason, I'm taking away half a point. So for visibility, it gets a 4.5 out of 5. Still fantastic. Just in a perfect world, I would have preferred the white background for the day-date window. Next talking point is button and crown quality. Just the crown here. It's very similar to the Baby Tuna. You've got this coined edge crown. You do have the Prospex logo on it. One thing I just found out is that the Prospex logo is made up of a S and a P, which I think is really cool. That's a very clever design right there. But again, it is a screw down crown, and the threading is very precise, very pleasant, and easy to unscrew and to screw back in. Some crowns feel gritty, or you just almost feel like you're cross-threading it, but that is not the case with this one. So fantastic quality. The only reason why I'm taking away half a point is because in my perfect world, I would have preferred a knurled crown, kind of like on the Seiko Samurai. So score for the crown is 4.5 out of 5. And you guys got to remember my grading criteria. If it's between 4 and 5, that means it's essentially perfect. I'm just taking away points for my own personal preference. So the 4 means that it's great. The fact that it's not a 5 is because I would have preferred a knurled crown. Next talking point is band quality and comfort. So the stock band is absolutely, beautiful. It looks very good, very clean. I prefer the Super Engineer style band, which is why I swapped out the Baby Tuna band and the Ecozilla. I just think for dive watches, this style looks really clean and ties everything together. I think in this case, I'm going to keep the stock band because the Tuna, or the SBBN, whatever number, insert whatever number, that band is iconic with the main case. So I think I'm going to keep it like this. If you do decide to keep the stock band, just keep in mind it's fantastic quality. It's very comfortable. It does have the pin and collar system, so keep that in mind when you adjust it. Be careful not to lose the collars. This is what it looks like on the wrist. And the interesting thing about this one is that if you push right here, it will open up the bracelet, so that way basically it extends the band for you to, if you were wearing like a thick dive suit, then you can adjust it like that to accommodate that. My only issue with this is that for me, I'm not a diver, so I don't need this. So every time I'm putting on this watch, if I'm not carefully, or if I'm not focusing on it, I will push down on this part right here and it opens up. So when I close it, I always have to readjust it. Not a big deal, for most of you. I think this is a very cool feature. You just got to keep in mind that when you're putting it on and you're not focusing and you apply any kind of pressure on this, it will open up. You can fix it just by closing it back like that right away, easy fix. But it's annoyance. It's a little annoyance that I have. So for that reason, I'm going to dock half a point. So it gets a 4.5 out of 5 for band quality and comfort. Still a fantastic band. Next talking point is the XFactor. Easily this gets a score of 5 out of 5. Starting from the most basic thing about the watch, which is the presentation. You get this leather bound box or case, whatever you want to call it, and it just makes it so fun. It gives you this excitement when you receive this watch, like you're like a child on Christmas morning getting this thing that you've been drooling over for the last year, right? It's really just, it adds to the whole presentation of the watch. And going to the watch itself, like I said, this is iconic. This is almost like a legendary Seiko. And people love it so much, they're willing to overlook the fact that it's not an automatic or not a solar charged watch. And the fact that it's overpriced by, almost double. Really, there's nothing, I can't really explain in words the emotions and feeling that this watch gives me. So for XFactor, 5 out of 5 easily. You put it on, it's going to make you smile because it's such high quality. It feels like a just precise tool, like a precision tool, like a machine on your wrist. And I think pretty much any review you look on YouTube is going to emulate my statements about this watch. It's very difficult to just explain the feelings. You just kind of got to have it in your own hand, and then you'll get it. You'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So 5 out of 5 for XFactor. All right, so last talking point is my overall thoughts and should you buy this watch. If we average out the score, we get a total score of 4.25 out of 5. Now, if we compare that score to the Baby Tuna, I scored this one a little bit higher than this one. I gave this a score of 4.5 out of 5. Now, does that mean that this one is better than this one? Not necessarily. The reason why this one scored higher is because it had certain functionalities that really just made it a little bit better in my opinion, such as the fact that it had an automatic hand winding movement. But if we go over things like charisma and just wrist presence, things that I can't really give a score on because they're just not really quantifiable. It's really just opinion and emotions. I think this one actually would score higher than the Baby Tuna. Because like I said in the X Factor, there's just something about it that you can't express in words. It's just a emotion and feeling that it gives you. Something about it is so fun, so beautiful. It's so elegant while at the same time exuding this toughness and tool-like factor about it. And you know, I'm sure that you've watched several different reviews about this watch, and they probably all say the same thing, that it's this iconic, legendary timepiece that even with the things about it that are maybe flawed or can be changed to make it better, how it is right now is really perfect. It's just a wonderful watch and something that I will keep in my collection forever. This is the watch that you keep forever and that you pass down to your children and their children and so on and so forth. So that's really all I got to say about the Seiko Tuna. Again, whether or not it's better or worse than the Baby Tuna, that's really all up to you. For me, I can't even say, because they're different, right? They are not the same, and I don't think they can be compared. It's really all how you are, what you prefer, and things that you prioritize in a watch. So that being said, should you buy it? Definitely yes, if you're a collector. And if you're not a collector, it really comes down to what you're financially comfortable with. And you know, if you're gonna break the bank to buy this watch and it's gonna put you in some kind of financial emergency, then do not. There are plenty of other watches in the market, in the world, that give you the same thing that this can give you without destroying your bank account. But if you're ready to make this purchase, then I highly recommend it, because it is such a wonderful, fun watch that you won't regret buying. So that's all I got to say. I hope that this helps you with your next watch purchase. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so that you stay up to date on my latest reviews. I try to put one out every week. But that's all I got to say for now. Thank you for watching, and tune in for my next episode. All right, bye.